Hello, hello. Welcome everyone. Let me know if you can hear and see me properly. For those of you who are interested in the gear I use, today I'm using the Lewitt 440 Pure condenser microphone through my Rodecaster Pro version 1. So, topic today is, are you really free? Are you going your own way? Are you autonomous and a calm, self-possessed guy where your world is really stable and you're loving life? Or are you just on a roller coaster, on the edge, a bit petrified, but stimulated? And I've noticed this with a few people. And first, let me say hello to the regulars if you're here. Hi to David P, Rocket, Peg, Neanderthal, Silver, Big Ol, Adam, Super AC, Karu, how are you, man? And Ronan, hi, how are you? Haven't seen you for a little while. Hope you're doing well. Konnichiwa, are you in Japan? All right, Armored Ghost. Okay. Let me know if you like this microphone or if you'd rather I not use it anymore. But I did a stream with Stephanie a couple of days ago on our joint channel, and I really like the sound of it. I haven't used this for a while. I've gotten used to using my dynamic mics, but there's just something about the warmth of a rich condenser that's kind of nice. Although it does pick up every little sound, which isn't always good. You don't need to hear every little spit and tick of my mouth, but anyway. All right. If you're here, also join in the discussion. Let me know about when you come across people, and we come across these people also when they could be highly religious, and they talk to you in a very angry way. They're almost trying to convince you of their argument, and you feel like saying, dude, why are you attacking me? I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. And I've noticed a bit of this online with people in their own little groups and bubbles, and they think they know everything. There is nothing more dangerous than an idiot who's very, very certain. And you can tell this by the way they speak. The dangerous people aren't the confident ones. The confident, stable, calm ones that don't need to convince you of anything. The dangerous ones are the ones that are twisting your arm and telling you what to do and shaming you. The confident, stupid people are the most dangerous out there, and the internet seems full of them. Now, a Q is the way they speak and how they express themselves. And if you would like to ask me a question if you're here during the stream, if you'd like to ask me a question during the stream or add to the discussion, please add three brightly colored three emojis, three smiley faces before your question so I can see it amongst all of the comments here. If you could do me that favor. All right. And yeah, feel free to have a look at my last video about a week or so ago that I put up. That was a lot of fun. About, in a similar way to this discussion, how I'm talking about really fearful, angry, vocal people that try and shame you and force down your throat their opinion, and you must listen to them, and they are correct. This video touched on that when you hear guys online in their own little groups talking badly about their exes and relationships and governments and bosses and stuff, and you know that they didn't express themselves like this to the boss, to the girlfriend. That's what they're frustrated about. Don't yell at me. Don't get all virtuous and noble to me. I'm not the person that these words should be directed to. Your ex should have heard these words. Your boss should have heard these words. Your mother or father should have heard these defiant, boundary-ridden words that stood up for what you really believe in. They should have heard it. Why are you yelling at me? And a lot of people online, and you talk to them in bars and pubs, and they get a bit drunk and honest, and they'll tell you exactly what they think and feel. And it's great. It's great to hear somebody express who they are. It's really refreshing. There are so many people online that are marketing themselves as brands, and they're saying the same things, they're saying the same lines. But it's so refreshing to hear someone just speaking from their own words and their own empirical experience in their own life. And it would do you well. I encourage guys during streams and in my videos to learn to articulate exactly who you are. We've got a beautiful language that if you only were interested in, adding some more synonyms to your words to be able to express yourself more beautifully. Because I do these streams not just because I like talking about certain things and having conversations. I do these because I think that your voice, language, and communication makes your life easier the better you do it when you're not on autopilot. And I find that people who are angry usually have a limited vocabulary by which to express their frustrations, and it just comes out as you being a spurg and your dictionary is only like 3 pages thick. Whereas someone with a richer vocabulary who can express who they are, I find them calmer people because they've asked themselves questions. They know how to ask you questions. They know how to listen to the language that they're hearing from the other person. But people who don't find communicating themselves important or even interesting, I find that they're the most frustrating people because they've locked themselves in the cage and they've got no way out. A lot of guys online, as an example, find freedom in MGTOW and stuff very important. The impulse is beautiful and liberating, but they don't want to sit down and think about how to do it, how to go your own way, how to solve the frustrating problems in the past when you couldn't tell your girlfriend how you felt. You couldn't say no to your mother because they want you to live a certain way or become a certain profession, and you really don't want to. They want you to become a lawyer, you want to become an artist. Things like that. Your ability to speak will help you be free, gentlemen and ladies, if there are any listening to me. I know Peg's here. But I want you to listen to this. It's not just me having an interest in language. Your vocabulary, how you speak and how you communicate to people, that is your personality. I want you to think about that. In a roundabout way, your personality is your ability to speak clearly, to say your yeses and your nos to people. People will not know who you are, and you will be frustrated in Chicky Poo, your ex, not really getting you. But if you don't clearly communicate and have these kind of conversations, get better friends, hang out with better people that aren't in their little spurgy group online telling you how the world's wrong. If you don't have broader devil's advocate, interesting conversations where you're not triggered, if you don't develop a better vocabulary by which to understand your frustrations and problems and then express them to other people, you will always be held prisoner by the world and other people who are cruel. Your ability to speak and think properly and communicate it to your others, that's freedom. And also, your personality is largely tied to your vocabulary and your ability to say yes and no. And I really want guys to think about that. You can get frustrated and say women shouldn't be like this, the system shouldn't be like this, but none of it matters. If you want everything to change and you want to be a 3-year-old being taken care of by the world, or women to treat you correctly and you don't utter a word, you are effectively wanting to be a toddler being taken care of mummy in the form of a girlfriend. You want to be a toddler taking care of daddy and the family in the form of the government. You don't really want freedom, the liberating autonomy of actually being a responsible adult. You really don't. It's a beautiful idea, but it's no different to the person who really wants to get fit on Monday, and it's always tomorrow. It's a beautiful dopamine anticipatory, carrot in front of you. So let me know your thoughts about what I'm speaking about. freedom, being able to say your yeses and your nos, and the people that are angry, and they get angry to get brave. I see so many people getting angry to get brave. And just emoting is not the way to get brave. Emotionally being brave, taking a sword out at every turn, is not brave. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. Zuhar says, absolutely agree about how you communicate, showing people who you are. So important. It is. It's very, very important. Really think about that. How will people know your character? How will people see you exactly the way you are? And you know, and you can't trust them either. If you don't actually express who you are openly, freely, without any walls, knowing that no one's going to hurt you if you just say the words that are yours, you've got nothing to lose. You're off the hook. You're completely free. And if they don't like you, they don't like the real you. That's fine. It's real. You're not playing a game for someone to like you. You are playing, if you want to call it a game, you're playing a game for them to like the real you. And when they see the real me, take for example, Stephanie. I can trust her because I speak this way. I tell her exactly who I am and we talk about everything. And then I can trust her because I do my best to get her to see and hear me clearly. She sees my character. She sees me in 3 dimensions as who I am. I am not a slick show trying to impress her and keep her and do what I need to do because she's a female and I'm a male and play this kind of mating game. No, I intentionally express who I am and I tell you what's on my mind, and you know who I am. And when you know who I am and you do the same back to me, I can trust that. That's real. But if there's this game and act we're playing, this slick mating game or this slick game you play with your work, I mean, at work you have to behave to a certain way. You formalize yourself, but you are hopefully still yourself with a suit on, if you understand the metaphor. So you go to work not compromising your principles, not acting in ways that you find disgusting and repellent, but you go to work being yourself, but you know how to adjust in that environment, just like you know how to adjust if you go to church or you walk into some other place. You're still yourself. You don't have to try and become anyone else. But when it comes to your partner at home, I see so many people frustrated in relationships because they have no interest in speaking their thoughts and showing people exactly who they are through their vernacular and their vocabulary and their words and exactly sharply telling you exactly how I think. Kari says, we're not angry, we're East Europeans. Look, I'm human, pardon the pun, but I can get angry, annoyed. I've got my moments. Karu's heard me on the road driving with all these idiots that in my mind can't drive. And objectively, some of them can't drive. I'm not making excuses or being overly nice, but I really respect some of you guys who are trying not just to be entertained online by this stuff, getting off on the anger of Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcasts and Pearly Things and Red Pill this and all of this manosphere stuff. But you recognize when it's just entertaining, but when you can sit and really have the important discussion and not shame each other, just like your ex-girlfriend or your mother did, right? That we can have a conversation that gets to the heart of what you're trying to fix or what you're trying to solve, and even looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I hate it when I go on dates and I can never say this, or I always end up doing this and afterwards I'm ashamed of it. Having these kinds of conversations where you can be proud of your behavior afterwards. After the date, you're proud of saying yes or no. And Quaz did a recent video. I highly recommend you check his video out on his channel. Link below to that video under this stream in the low bar. He talks about freedom And it was a really nice short video where he said that as far as he can tell, and he's in his summation, freedom really boils down to the ability to say no. And I want you to really chew on that. Your ability to say no is the degree to which you're free. Now, I'm not talking about like some of the idiots online saying no to everything as a reflex. No to a good opportunity, someone's friendly to you, you tell them to fuck off. Like, don't be an idiot. But your ability to give yourself a calm no to other people and say, no, thank you. Your mum says you need to go to church and you just don't want to. You can say, no, thanks, mum. I'm not going. And they can shame you all they want. And you know how to push back and say, what? I don't have a say in this? Your ability to give a mature, proud of yourself no that you never need to apologize about is the best thing you can cultivate and learn how to do. Later in my life, in my late 30s and 40s, I don't have very many regrets of how I acted and spoke to exes when I broke up with them and things ended. I do have a lot of squeamish, cringy moments when I think about them in my 20s and early 30s, where I didn't really articulate any of this stuff and didn't really find the need to work it out. But later on, the last 15 years, the breakups, I'm less ashamed of them, especially the closer to my age now I got, where even if I told the girl to fuck off, if I told someone no, or I don't want to, I would politely do it. You know, fuck off, it'd be when there's nothing else left, when it's over. I think if you get to the point of telling your girlfriend or your partner to fuck off, I think you've sunk your relationship down the Mariana Trench. It's over. But anyway, I say your ability to speak your yeses and your no's are the most confident thing you can do. And I'm not saying putting it on, but just take baby steps and learn how to politely express those things. And then after that, you can learn to express other things to show people exactly who you are. Remember, I will keep repeating this. Your personality, especially to other people, is only communicated through what you say. You can show up and do everything your mum wants or your girlfriend wants. You can be a compliant person and give them a false sense of, oh, well, this person's just a nice person that does everything I want. We're so compatible. But if they don't hear a peep from your mouth, they don't hear an honest word, if they don't hear words that come from your mouth that tell them exactly why you're different, interesting, special, and compatible with them, and you're unashamedly calm and saying those words to them, showing them who you are, expressing your personality in 3 dimensions with vernacular and, words and things like that, a person doesn't really get a sense of who you are the way you mean it. So I want to reiterate that. I touched on this a little while ago, that the kind of subscribers that I want to cultivate on my channel are the ones that we may have different opinions if we do. And obviously, none of us are carbon copies of each other. But our ability to not spurg out, to speak clearly, and agree to disagree, and use the king's or queen's English, because I find the English language beautiful when it's expressed properly, but I find it one of the most ugly when people act like idiots online and act like 3-year-olds slinging feces around. Our ability, I would like to cultivate subscribers here and have conversations that really get to the heart of where your fears and problems lie. Everyone wants to be free. Everyone wants to be less afraid. Everyone wants to not have the same screw-ups in their relationships. But if you keep going on in biological autopilot, you'll keep screwing up in the same ways. You have to fight and fix those areas in your life, especially with people, the way you socialize, the way you are with your family, when you can speak up, when you feel proud of yourself to speak up, so you're less afraid and you're more free. Now, too many people online today, they find their freedom is just walking away from the world all the time in every situation. I don't want to socialize. I don't want to go here. I don't want to talk to women. I'm just going to be in my little cave and I am going to disappear, and I feel free because I've hidden from the world. But I would say think about it differently. I would say entertain the thought that it's not their world. This is your world too. But specifically, this is your world. You have every right to say who you are, what you want. You can say no. You can say yes. And people can screw their face up and not like your yeses and your nos, but who cares? But you know what's great about that? Is that when you come across a person, a friend, or maybe a lover that really likes your yeses and your nos, loves your honesty, loves your clarity, that's the kind of people you want in your life. That's when you feel proud. I think most guys and girls, but I'm talking from a guy's experience to other guys, I know that the best. The regrets I have, those little snapshots of cringy moments, are when I wasn't being me. I was putting on an act to be the boyfriend, do the things that girls like, not be me and read the woman for who she is, what she's giving or not my problem. I take it for what it is, and I'm being direct and present with my conversation with her. If they've got childhood trauma, who cares? Not my problem. You got childhood trauma, who cares? Not her problem. All you can do is have the bravery to express who you are. I had a really good letter that showcases a letter. What am I? Am I writing with quill on paper? I got a great email from a subscriber named Sean C that I wanted to read out. Now, Sean's comment started with a bit about me. Look, I cut out some of his email because he was sharing some personal stuff that isn't part of this conversation. But the crux of it that I wanted to really share with you is this. A bit about me. I am MGTOW in the true sense of the acronym. Simply a bloke who loves being single. I've had relationships over the years, and I'm still open to relationships. However, the last relationship was a ball breaker. That said, I still like women and do not subscribe to the misogynistic and malevolent ideals of the manosphere. Yes, I agree with this. Same page. These are the kind of guys and girls, but especially guys, I would love to cultivate more on this channel and get more feedback. And you guys start your own channels, please. The internet would be so much better and so many guys would be helped. And I'm not saying I'm anything special, but this kind of life experience, practical, I am going to feel proud of myself later, and this is my life and no one's going to push me around anymore. I'm tired of being a nice guy for other people and getting nowhere, but I want to be a nice guy for myself and get the most out of my own life. These are the kind of conversations, the responsible individual conversations I love hearing. Sean goes on to say, I've been watching your main channel since 2019 and have always been impressed by your articulate and realistic approach to humanity, women, and dating. In fact, it's helped reboot my interest in dating, and if nothing else, to re-engage with women simply as people or friends. I've been a red pill character since around 1968. As a youngster, I realized the disharmony between parents and between other couples. This is a big one. I want to just pause here. A child sees the disharmony between their parents. I did too. There was disharmony between my mother and father when I was growing up. For the first 9 years was when I was the single child in the family before my brother and sister came along. But I saw the disharmony and the fighting between my parents. And it was, well, my father was drinking too much. It wasn't my mother's fault. And my father stopped later on, which is great. But when I was growing up, I saw the fighting, the distance, the disharmony, the crying, and I just hid in my room. And I got a really hard punch in the face impression about what a man and woman look like. This is what marriage is. The imprinting that happens with children can't be understated. Anyway, let's go on to Sean's comment. Let's continue. He says, Vietnam was raging away and tensions were pretty high in that era. I'm about to turn 65. And young men were heading off to serve the country. I could see past the fairy tale, which of course, as well as some petty traumatic life events during my childhood, led me to become red pill. In a nutshell, I'm pretty fit and I still have a very positive outlook in life despite my age. Bravo. This is a guy coming out the other end intact, proud of his life, and not drinking vinegar the whole time like so many guys do, and feeling tough and brave and angry. And that's the only way they feel alive. They spurg out at the world and women, and it's a way of protecting yourself. Great. You're not going to be hurt by anyone, but you're not going to get anything either. He says, as always, I appreciate your enthusiasm and a realistic approach to life. Thank you. I like this angle. Anyway. Thanks for the email, Sean. And I would encourage more of you guys to be the Seans, not be the me, but be the guy who doesn't just blame everything. Personal story. Do you know how refreshing and liberating it is to take as much responsibility as you can? Just a side note, but it's related to this, right? Not blaming the world. Do you know how free you feel when you try as much as you can to remember that everything is your fault, as much as reasonably as possible, right? An example the other day, there was miscommunication between me and my mother. I thought she sent me a text to come over and help her in the garden, right? And I knew that week she was staying at the farm. She said, can you come over and help me in the garden? I thought, she's at the farm right now, she means to drive over there. The farm is nearly 2 hours away. I drove there, waited, there was no one there. And then I left and called her on the road and I said, Mum, where are you? She says, I'm at home. I've been waiting for you. We were going to fix the garden here. And part of me was like, annoyed because I'm wasting 4 hours of the day. And we talked about this a week and a half ago where we were talking about helping her in her garden here in Melbourne. But when she told me she was at the farm past Ballarat, couple of hours away from here, I just quickly linked the two together. So I didn't clarify. It was no one's fault. My assumption, her assumption. She could have been clearer. But, oh God, we've got one of the kids bothering me. Hopefully Stephanie will answer him. This is the beauty of having a wife. Anyway, I'm being distracted. The kids are actually... I'm being distracted by the kids. All right. They've gone. I can see everything. I've got a big window here and people walk right past here at head height. They didn't notice me actually. Anyway, what was I talking about? I just got distracted. Brakia. Oh man, how are you? Brakia. I haven't talked to you for a while, man. How are you? Thank you very much for the donation. You shouldn't have, but I appreciate it. He says, you always know exactly how to put it. Beat them with your words, not your fists. Just remember, it always depends on the child. Women are children. Obnoxiously loud musical interlude. Cheers. And cheers. I get what you mean. Women are children. Obnoxiously loud musical interlude and cheers. Look, I don't want to bash certain people on the internet. I'm probably one of the most overly agreeable guys. I don't mind Sandman. I'm sure if we had a conversation, I have nothing against him, but yeah. Yeah, but Brakia, you're much better with words than I am, and a much smarter person, I think, than I am. But yeah, beat them with your communication. And stop being frustrated about girls or guys not seeing you or getting you when you're not showing them exactly who you are. You're being like one of the chicks that why can't he just read my mind? How come he doesn't get me? Well, he can't guess what you're not showing. Like if you show him exactly who you are, he's the idiot for not seeing with his own eyes and hearing with his own ears. But when you say yes means no, and he has to wonder whether it's actually a yes, is it a no? Is it a maybe? Is it a yes right now but no later, or the vice versa? These are the types of games we need to stop playing. And if you're too scared and gutless to be this direct and courageous with your words and telling people who you are, then it's your own fault. So, what can I tell you? These kids are still hanging around here. Stephanie probably threw their stupid balls over the fence already. And they're... some kids annoy me. Anyway. So. Okay. People say the microphone sounds good. Cool. Ted says, tired of empathy, especially if it's going to be used against me. Yeah. Well, the best way to know it's not going to be used against you is to keep talking clearly and not accept gaslighting. If there's something wrong, and she says there's nothing wrong, yet she's acting all bitter and angry to you for no reason, and you're curious, but they're defensive, just keep pushing and saying, are you sure? And the best way I found is when you, kind of a bit of a relationship advice for some of you guys that run into this problem of women saying nothing's wrong when you know there's something wrong, say this to them. They said, okay, I asked you. I'm not going to ask you anymore. You've told me nothing's wrong. I am not going to ask you anymore. I'm going to think you're fine. You just wait after that sentence. They will open up and tell you why. Because they can't play the game anymore. You're telling them you are not going to keep asking and poking for the answer. 95% of women will drop the mask and tell you exactly what's wrong. They'll stop playing the game. Direct communication. Direct communication. Best thing you can do. Sean, you're welcome, man. I told you I was going to read your letter. Some of these things are in jokes and I can't read them online. What do you want me to get my... You're going to get this... Some of you guys, some of the things you leave, you know that you're skirting on the edge of getting this stream banned. Babe, if you're... I'm talking to Stephanie here. If you're watching this stream from the other room, the young kids are still at the front door thinking that you are going to give them the ball here, where you've probably thrown the balls over the fence. Can you please tell the guys at the front to fuck off? Anyway. Brakia. Thank you very much. All right. Let's see. Any other comments? Do you guys have any further thoughts about freedom? The ability to feel free through... Stephanie's just telling the kids. All right, let's get back to the stream. The kids have left the front of the window. So, I would just like to repeat that your personality, your ability to make friends, for people to trust you and see you clearly, is your ability to communicate freely without the slick games and the manosphere lines and the one-liners, the pickup lines, the impressive words from other people, the sayings online that make you feel tough but are absolutely probably useless. Like saying things like, she's not yours, it's just your turn, makes you feel better maybe about being left or regretting leaving a girl that was mildly annoying, whatever it might be, whatever the reasons of, the bitterness you're holding on to, make you feel better, but is it actually a solution to the problem? I would say honestly assessing your own behavior, what you said and what you didn't. Did you communicate directly? Do not complain that... Think of it this way. Don't complain that she left you. Or let's use me as an example. I can't complain that she left me if I never expressed and showed me. She didn't leave me. So she left this mask of a manosphere guy, or this confident, cocky, dude bro pickup artist guy, right? She left him, and then afterwards you're online with your buddies saying how women leave men. Yeah, she left the man you portrayed. She didn't leave you. How convenient for you that you never really have to be heartbroken. You can just be a man that was left, that women don't respect. But how many of you actually show who you are and know how to speak and think and are proud of yourself as you speak, whether the relationship lasts or not? How many of you can express yourself and say, she left me? Most of you women, and you girls especially, man, that say nothing, hide and play games. Guys didn't dump you. They didn't leave you. You weren't there. And same with the guys. You weren't left. Your mask was left. You weren't left. The sassy boss girl was left. The Chad, the mask of alphaness was left. Because the little 5-year-old that mummy loves, that was never left. That barely gets shown. Articulate, put it this way, articulate maturely, give mature, rich vocabulary to the 5-year-old you've got inside you. That's you. That's you. Not this mask, dude bro, fake it till you make it, go to the gym, drive a Ferrari, do this, be a salesman. When someone leaves you, it's easy to bounce back from that and hate the world and hate women, of course. You can't blame Jane, you blame women. Jane probably wasn't even Jane. She was just like some archetype. You're an archetype. Archetypes leaving other archetypes, having archetype relationships. Good for you. You know what I mean? Jeez. Anyway. Any comments? Any comments or questions? Brakia, thank you for the super chat, but man, do you want to get my stream banned or something? You're not holding me hostage. I know what you're doing. Thank you for the super chat, though. I'll read it out, but I won't show it on screen. Guide my pimp hand and make it strong, Lord. Okay, I guess I can read that. I just need to be very careful because I know you've talked about doing this on my streams before. Ronan says, interesting this. A lot of people, anger is derived from their medical conditions. Most I understand, not to be a crutch, but if we observe deeply, we see more than just angry people. Our conditions change, so we need to be healthy and less angry. Yeah. There are a lot of connected effects to that. You know, your diet, your gut health, sleep, how you're raised, your hardwiring, your nationality, your IQ, just a whole bunch of stuff that gets stirred into this goulash that you become. I better drink my coffee. Ends up being you. There are a lot of connected effects. That's why a lot of advice that people give, very black and white. Do this, you get the girl. Do that, you get rich. That one size fits all rarely works because it doesn't take into account everything else. It's like putting on the wrong tires onto a car. Like one tire doesn't fit every car. That's a shit analogy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like, is the anger caused by a medical condition, or is the anger the medical condition and the condition has a name to detract from what it actually is? Yeah. You know, a lot of this kind of, oh, my ex was a narcissist. No, they were just an arsehole. People feel I think people love saying, listen to my story where I found this rare mythical narcissist who was, it's almost like I went out with a sociopath. You just have a very interesting story and people can feel sympathy for you. You are not just someone who had a breakup. You had a breakup with a psycho, a narcissist, a woman who did X, Y, and Z, or a boyfriend who did blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, you just had an average pedestrian breakup with common fights and situations. You're not special. You weren't special during your relationship with your psycho partner, and you're not going to get any of the specialness you were missing in that relationship afterwards by embellishing the story. Sorry. Let's kind of pare it down, look in the mirror, take life very simply, and not try and make ourselves let's not try and create a Hollywood movie out of normal life. If they actually are a psycho and they do things way to the extremes, acknowledge that. But even with language, people are like trying to find the most extreme words. Oh, I literally died. No, you didn't. She was stunning. No, she wasn't. Do you know what stunning means? So, yeah. Let's dial it down a bit. Ted says, beware the female covert narcissists. Covert narcissists have sociopathic tendencies. Yes, very difficult to spot until their mask slips. And then once you see her red flags, it sees. But see, I don't want to belittle this because these are labels to help us avoid people who are bad, right? I agree with all this. I'm not discounting narcissism, but listen to the language we're starting to develop online. Female covert narcissists, sociopathic tendencies, spotting red flags, masks slip. Can you see the memes in the language we're using? Rather than saying, my girlfriend was a bitch, I'm going to speak and be open and address these issues, and I'm not going to stay with these kind of cruel, awful people anymore. Rather than, ooh, the mythical unicorn narcissist. I had one of those. I was special. Let me tell you about my exciting story. And I'm not saying it's you, Ted, but we have to be very careful. We have to use plain language to describe these things rather than bumper stickers, because we're doing the same, and feminists do the same thing about all men and this. There's these political terms and these post-it notes we put over people that we just need to strip them away and describe them with normal language exactly what they are. She acted this way. Women tend to act like this. The language you use for yourself, make that specific. Use very specific. If you want to put bumper stickers on labeling your own virtues and your character, do that. But I would encourage people to stop spending so much time being so precise in assessing other people and what personality traits and borderline tendencies other people have as a way of protecting yourself about being hurt. No. Define yourself properly. You care far less about everyone else. I know exactly who I am. Make yourself three-dimensional. Give yourself the sharp edges and the straight lines and know exactly what you're about. Look at yourself in the mirror precisely and in 3 dimensions. Everyone else becomes a 2-dimensional take it or leave it. Like, yeah, she's a bitch. Yeah, but her childhood and borderline, like, I don't care. You're acting in this way. There's no excuse for you to treat me badly. I don't care about your florid little descriptions about yourself and your technical terms and your pseudo-scientific borderline tendencies. And my therapist said I'm the, like, who? Your therapist that became a therapist because she's fucked as well? Like, we're all human beings getting into positions of authority. People in the therapeutic industry, 9 out of 10 of them go in there because they're working out their own problems. They're screwed themselves. They get a handle on it, and now they feel in control where they can help other people, which is great. But don't forget, we're all human beings. Work on yourself. Everything else becomes easier. It does. But don't put the magnifying glass on the world and feel proud of yourself. Put the magnifying glass on yourself and feel proud of yourself. Does that rant make sense? Gifted 5 human memberships. Or is that grifted? I've been called a grifter, Karu. Brakia. Did I insult you by calling you Karu, Brakia? I don't know. I'm just laughing at some of the comments. Guys, I can't read some of the comments because some of them are a bit, they can't be shared online. But also, be aware, this stuff is kind of shown. And if it gets flagged too much, this whole stream might just be not shown to people. Yeah, Rona says, we have so many doctors online now. Yeah, so true. Many people throwing these words. It's incredible. My friends, yeah. All right. So let me know what you think about this. And I encourage you to watch QUASIMANDIAS' video on freedom. Often the simplest ways you can frame your freedom are the best ones. A lot of people online get caught up in the complexity of figuring out narcissism, and I watched all these narcissistic videos and all these levels of borderline personality traits and this and that, and categorizing and, having this really detailed view of what women to avoid and how to act and what suit to put on and what shoelaces and what suit and what tie goes with this how you look visually, and being so neurotic in how you think and how you defend yourself against the worst time. It's just a mess. Rather than having a very simplified language and a thought model about ways in which you can just go about life. Like Quaz said in his video, if you want to think about freedom, freedom is your ability to say no. How many of you can comfortably say your no's and your yeses from your mother that you love, to your partner you love, to the people you hate? Like, so many of us can't say no to people we hate because we're afraid of them. We can't say no to people we say we love because we're afraid of them. We're just afraid of saying yeses and no's. You're afraid of expressing exactly who you are. You are afraid of telling people with your words where you stand and who you are, and then you feel alone and feel like no one sees you. Well, of course you do. No one knows you. No one sees your personality because you don't express it. All you are is agreeable. You are saying yes to their personality, good or bad. They've got the courage to say what they want, even if they're screwed. But you're not. It's your fault if you don't communicate exactly who you are and tell women no or tell women yes. Whether you want to go up to a woman and say yes to her and ask her out and talk to her. Whether you want to tell a woman, rack off. Stop being rude. This is going to end. It's over. Telling your parents, no, mum. Yes, dad. Whatever it might be. Have the confidence to say your yeses and your nos. You will start to feel a lot freer. And most importantly, afterwards, you will feel prouder of yourself. And you know the magic thing about feeling proud of yourself by saying a mature yes or a mature no? And afterwards, you're proud of that person that said it, you. You know what happens when you hear yourself saying your proud yeses and your nos to, whether it's your mother, your father, your girl, anyone. There's no one you won't say your yeses and you feel good about it. You get confident because you are saying exactly who you are and you're not afraid anymore. That's how you get confidence, because then you have the experience of like, I can say no now. I'm not always hoping one day I'm going to get the courage to tell a girl no. You've shown yourself examples. You tell your parents no. You tell friends no. You're stoic enough, and you care more about your no's and your yeses than you do care about the reactions to your polite no's and yeses. You gain confidence because you can say no or yes, and no one has a right to tell you to change them, especially if they're reasonable. If your yeses and no's are reasonable, people who watch this will have to agree with it. It's correct. No one has a right to tell you to change your yeses and your no's if they're reasonable and they're fair, and they're just wincing their face because Pumpkin would prefer you to say yes or no in her vein. No. Shadow goes, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. He says, the first step to loving others is loving thyself, apparently. Respecting yourself, especially. guys, I know some guys squeam at the word love. You look at history, you look at the Stoics, they had no problem loving their male friends, and it's not homoerotic or anything like that, but you can love your brother. But now we have this problem with love because of the way the world is now. Love is a feminine thing. Replace it with something that works for you, like respect, honor. So whatever works for you, use it in the way that you mean it, right? So if you kind of just don't like using the word love, and I admittedly sometimes don't as well, because of the reputation it's gotten today and how people aren't listening to what you're trying to communicate if you insert that word in. I'm well aware of it. But replace the word love with a synonym that's comparable to be able to talk about these things that are important to you. So, loving thyself empoweringly. Knowing who I am has been my biggest battle. I call a spade if called for, apart from dude in the mirror. Yeah, sometimes we can fool ourselves. We're on auto because we don't look at ourselves. Like when you brush your teeth, I don't think you pay attention to yourself. You might as well be looking at a silhouette of yourself. You don't even see detail. You don't see another person. Good comment. Nice comment. Yeah, okay, Brakia. Thank you for censoring yourself. Anyway. Any last comments about this? Specifically about your ability to say no and yes. You can learn all of this stuff online. You can read all the self-help books. You can nod, read the best books in the world, watch the best YouTube videos by the smartest people who can articulate themselves. But if you never try to not just absorb it, but let it out of your own mouth, this is very important. You can absorb the world. You can absorb the Library of Alexandria, and you can absorb and remember every line from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. You can do all of that, and you can repeat them. But if you don't try and talk that way and think that way, especially if you believe that, it won't matter. You'll be frustrated. You'll feel like a boiling kettle, like seething. And I see these guys, they know all this. They're frustrated with women, and they go on dates and they smile, and they're just boiling inside. They're frustrated. They know they should be better. They know better, but they don't let it out. Absorb the world, but let the world out. You really need to learn to communicate better. And I will repeat, finally, again, because I want to get it through people's heads. And remember, I'm reminding myself here because it's important as I'm reminding and talking to you. What you communicate to Chicky Poo, bosses, parents, anyone in the world, that is your personality. Your personality is not just your choices and how you live, but how you express yourself through your words. Your character is largely how you communicate, how you listen, and that tennis match that goes on between people. If you don't want to think better, speak clearly, and solve your problems through speech in human interaction, and feel proud of yourself that you clearly express yourself and improve your vernacular so you can, then, sorry, it's your fault. It is your fault. Like the other day, when I went to the farm, I miscommunicated with my mum. Wasn't her fault. Wasn't mine. Miscommunication. Do you know how liberating it is when you look at that and go, no, I'm just going to take responsibility. I just felt, I made the decision, this is my fault. I'm not going to blame anyone else. All the other maybes get swept off the table. And it's the same with this. If you simplify things to be, how someone sees me is completely my fault. If I communicate exactly who I am and they still act like a spurg, or some bitch doesn't want to listen to me, or she's evading and gaslighting me, not my problem. I know objectively, if I step outside this conversation, I'm looking at me talking to some chick and she's playing games and I'm not. And I'm trying to be polite and she's just enjoying the drama and playing games. Then I can say, like, I'm trying. I've tried. Not my fault. I'm out. But if you don't talk, you play games just like they're not talking and they're playing games, and you're trying to in a scared way, fake your way through all this and then complain about it later on, it's your own fault. So take responsibility, express yourself properly, and then you'll have a leg to stand on in terms of blaming a chick or your parents for not understanding you. If you tell them point blank and direct, no, again, this is what I said. This is my no, this is my yes. You're off the hook. You are off the hook, gentlemen. You are free because you're saying exactly what you mean. You're saying exactly what you mean. Oh, but I'm being polite and, I don't want to hurt. And she grew up with a bad child. And, I've heard it all before. I've done it before. I've excused millions of women because of what happened, how their ex treated them, how their parents are, I've dated women from other cultures that use the whole, you don't know what it's like, the color of my skin and stuff. And just excuse after excuse for just human behavior. I don't care. I'm not treating you like that. Don't treat me like that. Be direct. Tell people exactly who you are. Good, bad, whatever. I hope that made sense. Let me read some of the comments. You can probably hear that. This microphone picks up everything. Brakia says, watch your thoughts for they become actions. Watch your actions for they become habits. Watch your habits for they become your character. Watch your character for it becomes your destiny. Yeah. The concatenation of one leading to the other, you drift so far away that you don't know the way back. You know the common saying where people say, I lost myself in the relationship? It's because the habits you create in what Brakia is saying. The bullshit you say, the lines you spout, the games you play to keep the relationship going, you get comfortably used to them and you just kind of drift off in that direction on this holiday of something that's not you. You go to another place as another version of you, being the slick guy with aviator glasses and Ferraris and going to Monaco and whatever. And then after a while, when the relationship shatters because it wasn't real in the first place, you don't know how to find your way home. And all these broken guys online are saying, oh, women. It's like, no, you played a big part in it too. Most of guys' frustration, and including mine, I'm not discounting myself on this, is I just got high on the ease of the games and, going to bed with women and avoiding the uncomfortable conversations and not being direct. And the shame is all in me not being direct. The shame is me not really telling them who I was. And these thoughts becoming actions, becoming words, becoming habits, and then just being your character. If you bullshit your way and tell women exactly what they want to hear, and you think you're self-smart, it's like, yeah, I know what women want. I know what they want to hear. High five, bro. And then they leave. It's like, oh, bitches, man. It's like, no, they didn't leave you anyway. They left this act. What are you annoyed about, bro? Like, get out of the bro, go out with a woman, and then complain legitimately. But don't be a bro, high-fiving your mates, banging these, frankly, dangerous, airheaded bimbos that just look good and have nothing else. They're only beautiful on the outside and they're ugly on the inside, not to mention dangerous. And then saying you're smart to your guys and you high-five. It's like, she didn't leave you in the first place. The only person that probably knows you is maybe your close friends and maybe your siblings and family. But if you show everyone else an act, I think that's people's frustrations. And when I look at mine as well, I knew that I had very easy, organic relationships with friends and family. Why were my romantic ones so fucked up? It's because I believed what everyone said, like relationships are hard, you need to do this. When a woman says this, she means this. It's like, I can't keep all this in my head. Well, when do I do this? Well, sometimes you do this and sometimes you do that. But when you do this and sometimes it's like, there's no sense in any of this. It doesn't make sense. Yet it's supposed to be one of the most meaningful relationships I'm supposed to have in my life by dint of the fact that I spend so much time with a romantic partner, but it makes the least amount of sense of anything. Taking out the garbage in the morning makes more sense than the rules of dating and the dating coaches out there. So yeah, very odd. David P, yeah, it comes down to taking ownership of your words. Own your words, be courageous with your words. You don't have to do jack shit. If you learn how to express yourself with courage, learn how to use your own words with courage, investigate them with better conversations, get better friends, not spurgy little manosphere, religious people that won't let you talk outside their little walls. Have better conversations to find your honest words. And if you do that, you'll find the confidence and courage to do almost anything, because you know where it comes from. You know it's from you. You know, it's not a game you're playing to get through life. No one will know who you are if you don't know how to speak the words. They won't. You're just going to be agreeable and you're going to feel safe. Yes, you do, Brakia. Yes, you do. Yeah, Robert says, you don't know how bad I suffered. Yeah, this whole victim culture. I've got the biggest suffering story. Love me. Give me likes. Reserve compassion and sympathy for those people that deserve it, not manipulators who pull at those strings. Alonzo said, I had a mate who left the engineering trade to do social work. The guy was a basket case. He lasted 3 years. You either have empathy or not. The guy was totally unsuited to social work. I knew day one. But there are a lot of people. I've just met too many. I dated one. My last ex worked in the social services field. She worked in the emergency trauma center at a major hospital here in Melbourne. And she was the most unempathetic person personally that I've met. She had a lot of empathy for people around her, like strangers, patients, and, starving kids in Africa and people that didn't really matter to her in her life. They're just, I don't know. I find it very hard to be intimate and open. I have yet to really find someone in the therapy industry, a psychologist, that I can really have an open, intimate discussion with. And I understand that they need to protect themselves. They can't transfer in their profession. I've read up a lot about this because I find it interesting. But I know about the transference that can occur when you're too empathetic and you feel too much with someone going through pain. If you're a psychologist, you have to detach yourself. But some of them just have detached too much. So again, if you're stubborn and you can't see things another way, or you won't entertain another way, then no one can force you out of it. There's a lot of people online, they're so sure of themselves. As I said, there's nothing more dangerous than a confident idiot. Someone who will not see another point of view. They will not calmly listen to another point of view. They are always got their hand on the sword, ready to be right and cut down anything else. So you can't do anything about those kind of people. Those people have to hit a wall, or unfortunately, they just ruin people's lives forever into the future. Best you can do is avoid them. But knowing yourself is the best way to do that. A narcissist or a cruel person who just refuses to ever change because they've just got an endless supply of chumps and idiots and people to take advantage of. What would make them change? What would make an arrogant billionaire who can do whatever he wants and there's no repercussions, what would make him slum it down at the bottom of the barrel with the rest of humanity, unless he got hit in the face with some traumatic experience? But they're so insulated. When your life is great, what would make you, in your eyes, take a step down? Anyway, I'm diverting from the conversation. But anyway, any further conversation, super chats, or comments, if you would like to leave a comment during the stream, please. 3 smiley faces before your comment, or super chat me like Brakia here. All right, and leave your comments below. I'd like to hear people's opinions on this. I'll read. I'll pull it up on a browser. I asked people, how free are you if you're constantly angry? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me refresh this. There's probably a few more comments. Is there? 13, okay. All right. Prince Revolver, how are you, dude? Long-time supporter. He says, the unfortunate part about being angry is that a lot of it is often passed on to you. Go a few days to a week without logging onto social media. If your anger subsides, you have your answer. That's true. I've mentioned this a few times, that everything in your life is a relationship, even the entertainment and the things you do and the people around that entertainment. If you just watch Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast and pearly things, and that is your core media that you just binge all the time. If all you do is listen to Rammstein, if all you do is watch horror movies and serial killer movies, it's like every relationship you have with people, the kinds of people you hang out with or the kinds of things you hang out with, they sink into your personality. You'll think, speak, and feel comfortable in that environment. That's why if you date dangerous, airheaded strippers, you can say you're the nicest person in the world, but you will defensively learn to have relationships because you're around them. You will always see women like them. So wherever you spend all your time is how you're influenced. Don't forget that. But that's a good point. Try and put down your phone for a day. Try not logging onto social media if you really feel frustrated. I stopped making content years ago like I used to when it started to frustrate me. And my subs go down. Like, you look at the progression of my channel, I just did things that I felt I had to do. You can't just keep entertaining yourself where you can't sleep anymore, where you're having the same circular arguments in exactly the same circular way. Your life isn't better. You've had the same conversations. You're just pissed off all the time. You're angry. You're not free. You're talking about freedom, but you're never free. You're the fat person that talks about the diet on Monday every single week. You're repeating the same Friday. You just really are. Alex Duda says, you are not free at all. You're a prisoner to the thing that keeps making you angry. I agree. Melanika, how are you, dude? He says, you'll get angry. That is a given. It is how you release that emotion. Let go and move on. Sometimes you need to vent to let it out too. Just be careful who or where you vent. I vent to myself more often than not and move on. I think perhaps anger is expecting an outcome of a situation that at times that didn't go your way, especially relationships. At this stage with relationships, I have learned that being neutral has helped me personally. That's a great mindset. Again, very simple mindsets that help you solve frustrating situations. I mentioned before about frame freedom in your ability to say yes and no. Are you saying yes and no to people confidently and without apology? And you don't stop yourself. You're not apprehensive about saying the words you want to say that you have every right to say. You're at a barbecue, you got confident bitches and confident dipshit guys out there, and they're saying their bullshit stuff about football and women and stuff, but you don't feel like you have permission to have a more intelligent conversation. You don't feel like you want to embarrass yourself. They can. They act like clowns, but you can't act like a respectable person. You're embarrassed. They're not embarrassed, but you are. Have a think about that. Rocket says, I'm not angry, just disappointed, and I don't think I'll stop being disappointed. Well, at least there's some honesty in that. If guys are honest about looking back and looking in the mirror, it's like, I'm not angry at women, I'm disappointed in myself. I'm not angry at women, I'm pissed off at myself. Most people aren't angry. Like, I get mildly annoyed, but you know, the guys recently, when I said I was married and I understand why people felt a little bit surprised and they thought I was one way, but they didn't know I was married. People aren't angry at me. They're not. People that know me don't have much of a problem with me. I'm a likable person. I know who I am. I don't think I'm great. I've got my faults. I'm not a perfect person by any means, but no one hates me. People that get really angry at me, especially the Spurgs online that get really angry and don't know me, you hate yourself. You're disappointed at yourself. You're disappointed at the no's or the yeses that I say that really go against maybe where you are, where you're insecure, where you have problems, and you won't have a reasonable discussion. So you lash out at me. You don't know me, so you can't be angry at me. Like realistically, you can't. I haven't said anything to you. So I know that no one really hates me. I might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I've not betrayed you personally. Like you're not angry at me. So just realize that as well. Most people that are angry at their own lives. They're angry at their lack of courage. They're angry at, having that mask over their mouths where they can't say anything, where they've muted themselves. A prisoner to the ebb and flow of the newsfeed. I don't know what that means. Mayhem Pole says, was angry for years till I found out I had high blood pressure issues. Ooh, that's a great way to become Zen, isn't it? Yeah, for all you guys that are angry at women online, you're in the red pill, go to the doctors and a doctor tells you you've got 6 months to live. I bet you're not going to be in the red pill sphere. Oh, women. It's like, I don't care about women. I'm living my life. Then you'll be actually going your own way when the doctor tells you you've got 6 months to live. People are angry at their cowardice and laziness. That's what people are angry about, including me, especially in the past. I'm not perfect. I have my moments where I'm lazy and cowardly and the old habits come in and the people pleasing and the stumbling over myself and things like that. But I'm trying. David P. says, I can experience anger at a person or a situation. That's reasonable in my opinion. If, how and when I let it go is the key. Holding on to anger isn't healthy. Letting anger go by way of violence is bad. Violence is sometimes healthy too, but there's a healthy way to express it as well. He continues, I've learned to do whatever I need to do to protect my peace. Yes. Hiko Dachi says, you are not free as the emotion. Anger will guide your behavior. I have learned that if I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve, there just is no time for staying angry. Frustration is a moment can happen, but you have to move through it. This can apply with most emotions, yeah. Catching it and recognizing when you're frustrated. Like the other day, the example when I mistakenly went to the farm. I was driving angry back to Melbourne, wasting 4 hours of the day that I had off. And then I was like, I'm just wasting more of it. Done. I just chose. All my fault, not angry. I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the day. That's it. Often just making the decision, not fighting it. When you make the decision that, there's no solution here other than to throw anger away, other than to all my fault, done. When you make that decision, then it's easier. But it's kind of nice to people, and I'm not excusing this, it feels good to be angry, feel brave, and you feel energized with drama and negativity. Look at all the videos online that are the most popular, the podcasts and people fighting and man good, woman bad, vice versa, getting angry at each other. Yeah, it energizes you. Anger, fighting energizes you. But I think the solution today, especially in this circus and sewer that we live in online, is to think differently, is to not engage and not watch that shitty stuff, is to have better conversations and express yourself better. Start YouTube channels, guys. Make good YouTube channels. Let's multiply this. Not that I'm taking any kind of world on my shoulder. I enjoy making my videos on my channel, but I'd love there to be more of this with other guys. When I started in MGTOW, there were more different guys talking about this stuff in intelligent ways and cross-pollinating it with, you know, I'm on their podcast, they're on mine, we have discussions, we record chats. Now everyone's just like in their little dark caves and giving up and... all right, I should go actually. I've had a really nice rant and talked about this. I hope you've enjoyed my rant. Thank you for showing up. Again, if you're interested, camera I'm using is a Canon R6 with a 16mm f1.4. This is a 35mm f1.4 on another Canon EOS R. Kind of a shitty camera, but does the job. Actually, it looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. This is a Lewitt 440 Pure. Really great professional microphone. A very low noise floor. If any of you know anything about microphones, this has one of the lowest noise floors out there for the money. I think microphones noise floor is anywhere between -12 to -20 dB. That's pretty shitty and pretty average. This one's like -3 or -5 or something. Anyway, enough nerding out. I'm going to say goodbye. But first, thank you to everyone that joined in. Let me see if there's any last comments left before I wrap the stream up. Crummy VCR says, let me get his comment. He says, I understand your take on it, human, but at this point, I'd rather make out with the cactus than date most of what's out there. Hey, man, I'm on the same page with you. If Stephanie didn't tap on my shoulder from the other side of the planet, I gave up. I've told this story. I wiped all my dating profiles. I deleted every single profile pic on my phone, on my computer. I had the funeral. I didn't just give up and pause and I'll log out. I had a funeral and that was going to be my whole life. My father just passed away. I was on a new chapter of my life. I was done. I was done chasing around the low quality women out in the West. So I know what you're saying. I might be coarse, but I feel it's better this way. Dude, I'm on the same page with you. I agree with you. You're not being coarse at all, Crummy VCR. I will fly your flag because I was the same. And just because I'm certain about what I think and believe doesn't make me right. But you got to know where you stand and what you will and won't do anymore. It annoys me when guys try, and they are honestly trying, and the only help they get is, oh, try again, find a better woman. How? Just stop being a loser. Just try again. It's like, no, I'm done. I've only got a bit of fuel and optimism left. I'd rather use it for the remainder of my life. Silva says, I've let go of anger and gotten over things, but sometimes, even decades later, it comes boiling back. It's a bit confusing because I was sure I was over those things. Yeah, it's funny. You can have a period of tranquility and then a memory slingshots you back to the past. You get a snapshot of where you were. And I do this too. People think that if I talk about women in relationships, I'm angry still. I'm not over them. But I'm very visual and I go back to it like a story, and I'll talk to it about, like, you know, I can talk about The Matrix the first time I saw it with the same passion. I'm not talking about it now, but I can go back and energize the conversation with that same snapshot. And sometimes those things happen to us with our experience of exes. You know where it's really frustrating when you have a dream of your ex and you know you're over her and you have a dream, a very vivid one of an ex, and you wake up feeling crappy and you think, why am I dreaming of her? It just ruined my day. Happens. Kung Fu Joe says, I think most people get angry because they don't understand the world. I think they get angry because they don't understand themselves. And then once you do, then you understand the world more accurately. They don't understand the world because there's no calibrating factor. Like, you have to be centered and locked and know how to speak, know who you are. Then you can have a relationship or try to have one with the world and see where you can shake hands and with whom. But with no standards, not knowing who you are, of course you get frustrated. Most of the world just wants to use you and spit you out. He also says, I don't get angry because I have no empathy and have accepted people's limits most of the time. I have empathy, but I've lost my sympathy and I've lost my patience with a lot of people. I've lost a lot of hope for that people can be reasonable and people will try and people can have a live and let live conversation and people won't spurg out and try and tear you down. I've just lost hope that I've just seen more and more of the world as scared crabs in the bucket that think they're confident, but they're just idiots and they're scared. And like whether it's the feminists or the guys online that act like tough dude bros, it's like, yeah, just keep driving fast. I have sympathy for the future wall you're going to run into, but I can't stop you, dude. My thoughts, my words, my time. And, I'm not your father, but you won't listen to reason. Reason can't win. And when it can't win, between reason and emotion, as Dave Sim once said, reason has to walk away or reason has to capitulate. You either leave or you capitulate. And if you're around people that are unreasonable, feed off their emotions, girls or guys, a lot of guys online act like bitches, you just walk away. You can't have conversations with them. Can't trust them. Wouldn't you rather have relationships with people you can kind of trust to a certain level? I've got friends online that I've never met in person, but I trust them to the degree to which I can. Life's better when you can actually trust people and have reasonable discussions and they're not shaming you and they're not trying to tear you down. You can speak openly and freely. So can they. You can have a laugh. Not this bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now. I know I always say that and then I keep going. Stephanie laughs at me about this. She says, you always say you're going to end the stream and then you go on for another 40 minutes. I know. Flawless victory. A stoic life is the best way to know thyself or know yourself, yeah? But only if you make an effort to actually practice it. Philosophy is useless unless you try and practice it. And the first and foremost way, yes, there are actions. Your actions determine your reality. I know that. But your words, speaking, that was probably very sharp, that sibilance. Speaking in a way, speaking like the stoicism is the first step, I think. Brick here, his words, his words, his fists. Yeah, when you can't be reasonable, when you can't communicate, the only thing left is physical. You either walk away or you keep fighting. You can fight with words, but then when words don't help and you can't walk away, the only thing you can do is physically fight your way out. Violence isn't the answer, but it's the final answer, as Jack Donovan famously put it. All right. I think I'm going to get on with the rest of my Sunday. And for those of you with a microphone, please feel free to jump on my public Discord, links below this video or on my About section on my channel. And yeah, jump on, have a conversation. Cultivate better conversations. Stop just talking about the bullshit of politics. Who gives a flying F? Seriously. It's interesting, but it shouldn't be the core of where you're trying to find solutions, trying to work out women and society and the laws and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand, but learn to choose better. Have better friends. Learn to speak better. Tell people who you are. Then you'll have friends that are real. Then you'll have relationships that are real. And if they succeed or fail, they will be real things that succeeded or failed. You don't learn anything about yourself from these breakups that everyone tends to have, including me in the past, where you had a mask on, you said a lot of slick bullshit, a lot of dude bro slick bullshit to do what works with women and get them into bed, and this is what women want. You learn nothing from the breakups. You learn nothing other than the structure. You don't learn anything about yourself. You don't learn anything about what the real you wants. You just go back to the drawing board and you roll the dice again. It's bullshit. It's can't read your name. He says, do you ever feel like anger is like a wound? It makes you feel alive to some extent. Yeah, of course. I think that's why people get angry. You never feel more alive than when you're close to death. And anger, fighting, violence, that kind of feeling, that energizes you. You feel very alive. Your senses are very, very alive. Your fight or flight responses are very, very alive. Being able to civilize the fight or flight with articulate speech and a civilized tone and the mind, I think that's one of the most honorable things, especially with men. When I see violent guys, I don't get impressed. The amount of videos online and clips where all this kind of hood culture and guys getting off on like this violent guy, this jacked guy, this guy told this woman or this guy where to go. He got into a fight. That's a real man. High five. Warriors, like MMA, like fine. There's a place for violence when you need it. But the intelligence of men has just disappeared. And I can't believe how many men just allow it to die and have no interest in it. We have that above most women in spades because we're not afraid of the world. We can defend ourselves. We're stronger. But we just focus on it now. And everyone's just into violence and being jacked and the physical. Men used to be much taller and bigger intellectually. They're dying out. You know, Christopher Hitchens is dead. Thomas Sowell is pretty old. Just all the intellectuals are dying out. Jordan Peterson, kind of, I don't know what I think about him, depending on the topic, but there's not many of these people, and no one wants to be anything like them. No one wants to cultivate their thinking. A dangerous man is a man who can think clearly and express himself. Look at Andrew Tate, whatever you might think of him. The guy knows how to speak. He's intelligent. He can articulate himself. Whether or not you agree with his lifestyle and how he's dangerous because he can speak and think well. He does it well. No one is interested in that. Everyone just looks at his cars and the women. That's it. The security you feel in your life and the confidence is your inability to find speech and communicating yourself interesting. If you're too lazy, you don't want to do it, you don't want to speak well, you don't want to think well, you don't want to have better conversations, and all you do is watch PORN online and watch these dumb bitches and have all these us against them conversations and nothing's intelligent, you deserve the misery of your life because you're too lazy to think and speak better. Just have the courage to express who you are. No one can tell me not to articulate who I am. I can speak better than most people. And that's not me being arrogant. That's me not just defending against the world because of my vocabulary. I know I can speak well and I can speak clearly. It makes me feel good that no one's going to touch me because I'm smarter than most people and they don't find this interesting or haven't got the ability to speak like me. So I feel good and proud of myself. I can defend myself with logic and speech. I can defend myself generally. I can tell people exactly who I am. Every man, woman, and child knows exactly who I am because I can explain it with my lexicon. Take from that what you will. Anyway, I think that let me refresh this to see if there's any remaining. All right. That is very true, Ted. Knowing yourself and your values and standards and boundaries is extremely important. And it makes you proud of yourself when you do express them. I don't just love doing streams, I get to talk about interesting ideas. I get a high expressing who I am and proud of the values that matter to me. And I get to have a direct conversation with you as who I am. I'm not presenting some slick thing and saying, hey guys, and doing all that kind of bullshit. But there's nothing more freeing than being able to express who you are as clearly as possible and feeling like you haven't hidden anything in terms of expressing your ideas and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, more words, less fist, especially if you don't know where to put it. Yep. It's the only intelligent thing to do. Unfortunately, too many confident idiots in the world. And it doesn't help that in the end, violence always wins. And the dumb brutes always think, well, that's the smartest option to take. I'll just go from zero to violence. Yeah, but you'll never be one of the top 1%ers or the 5%ers that you'll never reach. All right. I think I am done. Have a great weekend, everybody. Let me know what you thought below this video. And also, let me know what you thought here in below this post I put about how freedom and constantly being angry are really pushing each other away. You might think you feel alive, you feel great being angry and pissed off and agitated, and you got something to wake up for, having these hateful conversations and watching the reality TV show style drama online. But in the end, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You don't have friends you can trust. You may not even have friends. You have memes. You can't have relationships. You don't show who you are. You protect yourself with slick phrases that keep the 5-year-old you safe, rather than articulating mature, like giving the 5-year-old you a stoic, clear vocabulary that is actually yours. You know, upgrade the 5-year-old's vocabulary to someone you're proud of. You know, let the 5-year-old in you learn how to speak and grow up through words. Don't do that, and women in the world will keep walking all over you. Sorry. Do I sound black-pilled? All right. I think I am done. I've read your comments. I've said my piece. And I wish you all a happy weekend. And I will see you in the next video or stream. Hit the like, join the channel, do all the fun stuff. And thank you very much for you guys who joined the discussion today, who super chatted. Thank you very much, Brakir, and the rest of you guys who super chatted and donated. Keep it coming, and I'll keep the videos and streams coming. All right. Yes. Try and take a step ahead before these frustrations and decisions, and look at what decision is going to make me feel proud of myself afterwards. Then you start to do that. Anyway, enough. Let's end this. How long have we been going for? An hour and a half. Almost ended it in an hour, didn't I? But not quite. Not quite. All right, I've answered all the super chats. One thing I don't like doing is ending when I haven't answered all the super chats. I'll end in a minute because there's about a minute delay in the stream. There's about a minute buffering, just so the stream shows in without any jittering. But yeah, go enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're in the US, it's probably evening, Saturday night. It's Sunday morning here in Melbourne. And have a look at the latest chat I had with Quas on my chat channel. That's on the homepage of this YouTube channel right at the bottom. Have a listen to the chat I had with Stephanie, my wife, a couple of days ago. And have a watch of the latest video I put out last week, probably a week and a bit ago, about how you need to express these words to the people that matter. Don't be honest and tell exactly people your values where it doesn't matter. Like, it's nice for me to express these here in this kind of digital diary that I'm doing on my channel. But your frustration largely lies that you're not expressing yourself like this to the chick in front of you that frustrated you, your parents that are holding you back maybe, to the job that you don't want to be at, to the neighborhood you're still living in that you don't want to be. You need to say no there to be free to go somewhere else. You need to say the yes to where you want to go. So have a look at that video where I was arguing. It was a video about arguing with one of these guys that think they're right and they're always angry and have something to say about defending their point of view, but they don't want to find solutions to things. All right. Brakia. Is that a Dutch flag? I'm not sure. Or is it a French flag? All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see you in the next video or stream. And later. Bye.